quick question. If you were dropped into the ancient world, what technology could you actually give people? You wake up 10,000 years ago with a smartphone in your pocket. In a day, it's a dead brick. No grid, no chargers, no tutorials. So what can you give them? Not gadgets. Knowledge. Today we start at the real beginning. Fire. Without controlled fire, we'd still sit in the dark, literally. Fire is not just warmth. It's controlled energy, light, safety, cooked food, and something even more powerful, temperature. And it's easy to forget how much darkness used to cost. No street lights, no headlights, no screens glowing in your face. When night arrives, your world shrinks to the reach of your hands. Fire is the first tool that pushes the border back. It turns a circle of darkness into a circle of safety. It also changes something subtle. Attention. Around a steady flame, humans can finally stay still long enough to think, to plan, to teach. That's where culture begins too, not in comfort, but in a small, reliable pocket of light. So when we say fire, we're not talking about a camped trick. We're talking about the first time humans learned to make the environment obey them, even a little. Most modern people believe they'd manage. I've seen videos, but out here, knowledge isn't entertainment. It's a system, dry fuel, wind protection, and a plan that works under pressure. There's a strange illusion modern life creates. We feel competent because everything works around us, but most of us don't know the invisible steps beneath the surface. It's like holding a loaf of bread and claiming you understand agriculture, or holding a phone and claiming you understand electricity. The ancient world exposes that gap instantly. That's why this series matters. It's not about pretending we're geniuses. It's about rebuilding the missing layers, the basics that make everything else possible. Because once you understand the layers, you gain something powerful. You can improvise. And civilization is improvisation, repeated until it becomes reliable. The goal isn't a lucky flame. The goal is fire on demand, repeatable, controllable. Every fire obeys three needs: fuel, air, and heat. Control those, and you control the night. Let's make the fire triangle feel real. Fuel is not just wood. Fuel is dryness, size, and structure. Air is not just oxygen. Air is space between pieces, a path for flow. Heat is not just spark. Heat is continuity long enough to cross a threshold. Here's the practical mindset. Don't worship the ignition. Engineer the conditions. Pick a site that stays sheltered. Clear the ground. Think about what happens if wind shifts. And always build so you can control the outcome, not chase it. That's the theme of this channel. Control beats luck. A reliable fire is your first proof that systems work. Field note number 1, build a fire kit before you need it. Separate your fuel by size: tinder, kindling, and main fuel. Tinder should be dry and fluffy. Kindling should be pencil thin. And your main fuel should already be waiting, because once a flame appears, time becomes precious. Now, a real-world detail people skip. Tinder isn't one thing, it's a category. Dry grasses, shredded bark, wood shavings, fibrous plants, even the fine inner layers of certain bark. The goal is surface area, fluffy, airy, eager to catch. And if conditions are damp, your job is to create dryness artificially. Keep tinder close to your body, inside a pouch, under clothing, somewhere it can warm and stay protected. Then stage your kindling like a staircase. The smallest pieces first, then slightly larger, then larger still. This looks slow, but it's faster than restarting from nothing. A good kit is basically time saved in advance, and time out here is everything. There are different ways to begin: friction, spark, or ember. Friction creates heat slowly, patiently. Spark gives you a sudden chance. and an ember is the secret of reliability. The method matters less than the principle. You don't make a flame. You create a tiny heat source and feed it correctly. Let's talk about reliability. Spark is dramatic, but it's picky. Friction is possible, but it demands patience and rhythm. The ancient world's secret weapon is the ember. An ember is heat you can carry and protect. It's the difference between starting from zero and starting from one. That's why cultures learn to preserve coals and transport them. A traveling ember turns fire-making from an emergency skill into a normal routine. And routine is civilization. In practice, the best strategy is redundancy. No more than one approach, and always shape your environment so a tiny heat source can grow instead of dying. Most fires fail for one reason: they get smothered. Field note: feed the flame gradually. If smoke grows thick and the glow fades, you added too much, too fast. Give it air, give it space, let it breathe. Here's how you read fire like a living thing. If you see thin, wispy smoke and a steady glow, you're close. If you see thick, rolling smoke and the glow fades, it's choking. If the flame is tall but weak, you may have too much air and not enough heat concentration. So the correction is gentle, smaller pieces, more spacing, and patience. A steady fire is built in phases: glow, then flicker, then flame, then coals. Don't rush the phases. Most beginners lose the fire in the first minute because they treat it like a race, but fire rewards calm hands. Before ignition, decide the structure. A teepee helps a flame climb fast. A log cabin burns steadier and longer. Build the shape first, then light it. Civilization favors preparation, and the structure you choose is really a decision about your goal. Want fast ignition and light? A teepee helps heat rise and climb. Want cooking and long-lasting warmth? A log cabin builds a stronger coal bed. There's also a simple rule: make a platform before the fire. Keep tinder slightly off wet ground. Keep airflow underneath. Even a small base of dry material changes everything in damp conditions. This is what's fascinating. Early humans didn't have textbooks, but they discovered the same principles every engineer learns today. A design that repeats is a design worth keeping. The real power isn't the flame, it's the coal bed. Coals store heat and make cooking, drying, and tool-making possible. A controlled coal bed is the first battery humanity ever built. Once you have coals, you have control. You can create heat zones, hot center for boiling, gentler edge for warming and drying. You can rake coals where you need them, and you can reduce flame when you need steadiness. And coals teach another big idea. Stored heat can be managed like a resource. It's not just fire on or fire off. It's temperature you can shape. This is the doorway to kilns, to pottery, to metalwork. Because higher technology isn't magic. It's heat management, repeated with better tools. Coals are the first place you can see that logic clearly. Now comes a quiet upgrade: charcoal. It burns hotter and more predictably. Charcoal is what pushes civilization from campfire to workshop. With it, you begin to unlock ceramics and eventually metal. Charcoal deserves respect because it's a chemistry upgrade disguised as fuel. Wood contains water, resins, and volatile compounds that smoke and waste energy. Charcoal is what's left when you drive much of that out, leaving a carbon-rich material that burns hotter and cleaner. And hotter, cleaner heat is what allows controlled craft. It's the difference between a fire and a process. When you hear iron or glass or engines, you're really hearing one word underneath them all: temperature. Charcoal is one of the earliest ways humans learned to push that number upward. We'll go deep on it later. For now, remember, fuel quality is technology. One of the most important inventions isn't a weapon, it's a container that survives heat. Pottery becomes your first laboratory, boiling water, storing food, mixing materials. That's next. Now think about the humble container. Without a heat-resistant vessel, you can't reliably boil water, render fats, make broths, or store liquids safely. You can't mix materials and test results. A container is infrastructure. Pottery is the moment your camp becomes a workshop. It allows repeatability, the same shape, the same volume, the same result. And repeatability is what turns knowledge into a system. So next episode isn't just making a pot, it's building the first tool that lets you do controlled experiments, which is the beginning of science, long before the word existed. Before we close, your field notes. 1. Gather fuel in 3 sizes: tinder, kindling, main fuel. 2. Keep it dry and protect it from wind. 3. Choose a structure first, then ignite. 4. Feed slowly. Smoke means you're smothering the heat. 5. Aim for coals. Flames impress, coals sustain. It works. And now the next dependency. Where do we get a container that doesn't fall apart under heat? Next episode, pottery and the first real kiln.